Hello to everybody, my name is Andrea and I'm going to present a 30 minutes demo about Purchase Request app from EOS Solutions. The main goal of this app is to collect requisition from all the people in a company and give the capabilities to purchaser roles to create purchase quotes and purchase order. I'm using two browsers, a white Google Chrome for purchaser role. If we go to My Settings, we can see the role that is assigned to this purchaser manager, and we can take a look to the approval setups, seeing that there is a flag on its record that is setting this as PRQ administrator. The other browser we are going to use is Microsoft Edge, and is colored of black, and is related to this other user that is a team member user. So if we switch to the other browser, we can see that the role center is different because this user has a generic role. In this case is a sales order role. We can see it in the My Settings page, and in the role center you can see three tiles in the upper left corner that is showing My Purchase Request. Well, the main difference between a purchase request administrator and the basic users is that the basic users can only see his purchase request, while the purchaser manager can see his purchase request, but can see also the purchase request, the requisition that comes from everybody. Now we are going to see how to insert and modify a document. To insert or modify a document or a requisition document, we can start from the tiles on the role center, or we can start typing Alt Q and searching for PRQ. So searching for purchasing request and activating this voice will take the user to the purchase request list. The first field is the number of series, so just give a tab on your keyboard to fulfill the number, and then take a look all the other fields. We have a lot of fields that can be filled or not. No one is mandatory, so we can type a generic description, we can type a vendor number if we know, or we can type a location code, a job number, a category code, and finally we can insert a requester number. So this is the code of another person, a colleague, when I want to insert a requisition request on behalf of any other people. So this is not mandatory. So basically the system is tracking the user ID that is inserting the purchase request in one field, and the requester number is in a separate fields. This enables, for instance, team leaders to insert requisition in behalf of their colleague. Clicking the Show More button, we can see that we have two more fields that are related to the Global Dimension 1 and Global Dimension 2. So in this environment we are set with the department code and customer group code. So quite all the fields in the header are intended to be copied to the purchase request line when a purchase request line is inserted. A purchase request line can be inserted in a very generic way, so the only fields that you need to insert in a purchase request line are description and quantity, but you can also insert very detailed lines that are related to an item or to a general ledger account. In this case, we are supposing that we want to buy a generic desk for the office and a bicycle. So the bicycle is an item, and so we can create a line directly for the item, while the desk is a generic item and we don't know if there is a preferred vendor or a preferred item. So we can clean up the vendor number on the line, or we can change the vendor number on each line. And the base user can insert a very generic description of the item and can link, for instance, a URL that comes from Amazon in this case. So the purchaser manager can then create and complete the information with the right vendor and the right item code. The purchase manager can in a second time create multiple quotes for multiple vendors in order to choose the best quote. The purchaser manager can also change the vendor number in the header. When you do this, the system asks you if you want to apply the new vendor to all the lines. And the purchase manager can also insert new lines and check for some statistic data like the minimum cost or the maximum cost and the latest purchases related to a specific item and a specific vendor. You can drill down and see the historical series of purchase document with all the prices and discounts that were applied for previous purchases. Now let's go on jumping to the basic application setups. So go back to the start page, type ALQ or search and search for PRQ setups. It will open a basic setup card with 3 flags and 3 option field. And so let's start from the edit PRQ status. By default is set to always, so this means that every user can change manually the status fields on purchase request card. You can set it to an intermediate settings, so in this case the basic users cannot change the status of purchase request, so they cannot approve the purchase request by itself, but only admins can. And then the third status is never. You can use these settings when you have an external workflow that is setting the status and driving the approval. So this external workflow can be the standard approval from Microsoft for Business Central, or can be the data security application from EOS. Then we have 3 flags. These are driving the default when you create a purchase document. So when you create a purchase document, you can by default close the purchase request, delete the purchase request lines, or archive the purchase request. So a good setting is to set the archive and delete. So then we have the number of series. So that is the standard number of series for Business Central. You can set here the text pattern that is going to drive how your numeration is done. The third setting was just driving a confirmation question when you pick the lines from the purchase order from requisition. So let's see how the setting works. In this case it's set to never, and you can see that the status is not editable. We can switch this to always or to PRQ admin. In this case, I remember we are in the white browser, so we are PRQ admin, and so in this case you can see the status field is now editable. So this is a basic settings that lets you tell that only admin can approve the purchase request. For a more advanced setting, we will use workflows or data security. So for larger enterprises and organization, you will never use the first 2 options that let you, as you can see, change the status to approved or to closed. For intermediate organization, it's suggested to let only the admin to change the status, and for larger enterprises using an external workflow that can be set with limits, email, notification, and so on. Now we go on watching how to create purchase document from a requisition. So let's fill all the information that we want in the purchase request line, and let's see this simple feature that can be used by end user or admins that let you change one line in a specific GL account line or item line without losing the information that are present on the line. So Business Central Standards is done in the way that if you change the item number or the GL account number, all the line is recalculated, so prices are lost, vendor are lost, and so on. If you want to maintain the starting information, you can use this function. Going on, we can create purchase quote or purchase order. So let's back from the role center, so we can select approved purchase request, because orders can be created only for approved purchase request. Then select create document from purchase request. We can select between quotes order or blanket order. We can select if we want to archive the posted purchase request, if we want to close the purchase request, and finally if we want to preview the item vendor list. In that case, the system will propose all the vendors where these items are available. I have two flow fields at the right of the page. So one is showing how many items I have in the item vendor list, and the other one is showing how many items I have in the purchase request that fits for a certain vendor. So we can take a look to the item list. We can take a look to the first vendor, so the vendor 10,000, and looking for items in the vendor's card. So just click Alt Q and type item, and then select the first voice. So in that case, we have the all recurrent items that we buy typically from a certain vendor. So in this case, we had the item 1000, so it's bicycle. We go back and restart our create document process. So we have activated the preview, and so finally in this case we can see that the bicycle is available from the two vendors as a recurrent item, but only the second vendor is indicated in the purchase request as preferred one. So we can now click edit on this page. We can select the two vendor and create two documents, or in that case we can select only one vendor and create document for the vendor. So in this case, click edit list, select the vendor you want and click OK, and in that case the documents are created. When the documents are created, we can select if you want to preview the document. So in this case the purchase order card is open, so we can find our purchase requisition lines transferred to order. This is not the only method that we can use to add line to orders. We can use the pick line or get purchase line feature. So you can open a quote or a purchase order or a blanket order and select this function from the lines, and all the approved purchase requests are listed. There is a starting filter for the same vendor that you can clean up and select your lines and add lines to any kind of document you want. With any kind, I mean order, purchase order, purchase quote, and blanket order. So after this, the process is a standard Business Central process. So we have to fill all the information mandatory in the header. We have to fill all the information that are missing in the lines, and after this we can release and process the order as usual. So in this case the location is missing, so we just need to fill up the location in all the line, and then we can release the order. After the order is released, we can go back to the purchase request and see that going to the lines, all the documents created from that line are tracked. So you have a full navigation from the orders or from the purchase request. Let's now see how to duplicate and archive purchasing request. So these are very easy to use features. You just select a purchase request and click on duplicate. This will create an exact copy of your purchase request, so giving you the ability to create a new document and try to modify. If you want to create a different version, the best feature is using archive. So clicking archive, a copy of this purchase request is created in a separate table, and you can create as many archived version you want. You have a flow field there that you can drill down to see archived purchase request, and you can also restore archived purchase request. If you go to menu, you will find the purchase request and also the archived purchase request list. If you go to the purchase request archive, you can filter on the archived flow field and see which purchase requests are archived. You can drill down, you can see the archived purchase request, you can select the one you want, and you can click restore. Be careful that restoring a purchase request will delete the latest version that you have in the system. So you can also automate this process. When creating an order, you can automatically create an archived version and delete the current purchase request. If you go to menu, you can see the full list of archived purchase requests. You can select the archived request and you can restore it from there. So finally, if you want to activate the automatic archiving process, please go to the global setup of this app and select the archived purchase request. You can also activate this option that lets you add a confirmation message when you are in the order or in the quote and you are picking line from purchase request. Now let's take a look to the standard workflow activation. Basically, if you can download a default template for purchasing request from our website. So go to helpbc.eos-solution.it and download the template zip, then extract the XML file from the zip. This is a standard format for Business Central. Then you go back to Business Central and type workflows from the start menu, and then you just can create a workflow importing the XML file. After you imported the file, you can take a look to the workflow, but don't forget to insert the connection record. So go to workflow table relation and insert the record as shown in our help site. So you need to insert the table number, you need to insert the related table, that is 454, and the field number 22. After you have inserted this, you can go back to the workflow page and click enable. So this is the standard approval for Business Central, and from this moment on is attached to our purchase request. So you can click send an approval request, and the system will perform as a standard approvals works for the entire Business Central. In this case, I have not set an approval manager for my users, so I need to insert one. So I go to the approval user setup page and then fill in the field approver ID. Of course, I cannot set as approver myself, and I need to insert my boss for this. After this, I can go back to the purchase request, click send approval, and the system will notify the responsible people that a request approval is inserted. In this case, the status field should not be editable. Another workflow capability is adding our EOS Data Solution application. You can download it from AppSource. To use data security, it's better to disable the standard workflow from purchasing request. Then we can go back to EDS table setup, where we will find the table for purchasing request with a predefined set of data of status and status transaction. In order to use this feature, you will need to ask for a trial or buy a subscription. Before to ask for a subscription, we can take a look to the predefined status that the system inserted. So these are the status changes available. We have the status, so the short list of the status available with the option related to status, and then we have the user list when we can insert the grant for single users or for group to modify the status. So data security basically lets you certify the records, changing their status, basing this on permission, adding the capability to add the mandatory fields. So we cannot certify this record, so we need to ask for a subscription. We can follow the blue banner on the top of the page, or we can go to subscription control panel page. This page comes from EOS and lets you select all the installed apps and require a subscription for that. Just insert your email and select the subscription plan you want. That can be a trial or can be a full subscription for 1 year. After some minutes, one of our people will check for your requirement and will contact you by email and will activate your subscription. So you can see that subscription has been activated, so we can go back and certify the data security table. So in this case, we can go back to the purchase request list and we will find that a new field is available on the list, and we will find that effect box is available on the right part of the page. We can change the status and see the status log from there. In this case, my users is not enabled to change the status, so I need to give permission to that user in order to enable him to set the approved status. So in this case, we have a lot of status, and is where we can insert permission for users or for groups. If you are interested to our data security, please take a look to the help site and the specific material. After all the permissions are inserted, we can go back to the purchase request page, recertify the data security table record in order to activate it. So change the option status from under development to certified. Then go back to purchase request, and then you will see that data security is now active and my user can change the status. So in this case, from new to approve, I have only one status, but then I have several options that I can select. So for instance, from to approve, to edit, or to approved. Data security is capable to sending email and notification, is also applicable to other documents such as invoices, sales order, or to master data such as customer and vendors, is one of our best-selling apps since the last 20 years. Now the demo is over. If you have any question, please write to our support email. You can find all the addresses on AppSource. You can find all the documentation on AppSource. Thank you for your time and for your attention, and see you next time.